Peace, love, and cheers, grandiose YouTube community of free thinkers, light workers, and empaths, and everyone else alive under the sun, and then some who have stumbled across this video. Oh man. To make these videos is precisely like writing a paper. The beginning always is the most difficult part. I can't tell you, I've been doing this video for a few times over. But I have to first say thank you very much. I partially do these videos because it's been a seed planted since I've experienced the Mandela effect, and really seeds have always been planted ever since I was young, knowing that there's something much more than what we currently exist in. That brought me up to the Mandela effect, and the verification I get of this I like to sum up in a Mayan greeting, and I'm going to totally butcher the pronunciation of it, Americanize it if you will, but it means it is Ian Lakesh, and the English translation of that is I am another yourself. And there are a few of you who comment to encourage me to keep making these videos and stuff, and I appreciate that much, very much, because for me this is very much vaster than the majority of people see, this ascension cycle, if you will, and there's a lot of loneliness with it, and to be able to express it online becomes that verification of knowing that you're not alone with this. Ironically, just like every human being wondering if we're alone in the stars. We who are bewildered by this and have felt aliens from the aliens that is this human race. Alien to the alienation. We're on this path for a reason, and we are literally a reflection of each other. And so, wordlessly and psychically, I will always give my love out. To every life, everyone, of course. Because as time goes on, things get more intense, but as they get more intense, I feel more blessed, and I feel more presence by people in midst of isolation. And that's what I'd like to make this video about. The positivity to feeling isolated. Whether you have to isolate yourself more because your empathic abilities are coming online, or you're just isolating yourself more because the Mandela effect is overwhelming you, there becomes a benefit to this. And I grew up doing theater in Chico, California, Northern California. And one of my favorite directors, bless his heart, weirdly enough, he passed away in December 2012. Anyways, he once said something that will always stick with me, and it's universal among not just performing arts, but also drawing arts and visual arts, any form of art, and it is universal to all of existence all the time, period. When you're on stage, and you have actor A and you have actor B, in a romantic scene, let's say, people don't want the kiss. They want that moment, that anticipation before. Or in any scene, if you have any, conflict happening between two scenes, because of course if a show's happening you have to have conflict, otherwise what's the point? Oh no, let's run away from the conflict. No man, that's why we're here. Let's transmute that conflict into beautiful symbiosis of the solution that lies within it, right? It's just like education. Edu is to draw from within yourself. It is to draw from within. The Latin root meaning of edu in the word education means to draw from within. Don't take my word for it. I just blindly took it from a college professor, so I could be entirely wrong. But it relates, because the relationship of education is to the pupil as the relationship of vegetation is to the seed. Really, all of the knowledge is already within the seed, continuously. And we're social beings because we truly learn and experience and grow when we're interacting with each other. But the intellect of growth lies between the spaces, right? And very much I like that because it shows the holonarchical. Holon, in the word holonarchical, means whole, and within the whole there are parts, and within that part, within every part of the whole exists within the part. And wandering off topic, give me a second, I would have index cards, but oh man, that would muddy shit up and I would still wander off track. Digressing is fun. Education's an ecology. And therefore, take space, which is what everything's mostly comprised of. You look in the atom, within the atom, in the microscopic, minute level, 99.9% of it is space, right? As so doth the external level. All the spaces, what binds us all. 'Tis such a sacred thing, the spaces that bind us, improvised timing in between. For Murphy's Law, whatever could go wrong will go wrong. Will always be lurking, must learn to fall more creatively. Amongst destruction there's always creation, orchestrated chaos conducted by the stars. The beauty lies in the endless mystery. Serendipity, 'tis our best friend. Right. Serendipity is our best friend, because it is the unknown and the unexpected that helps us remember and reawaken to who we actually are. Right? Multi-dimensional, sentient beings having this human experience. Knowing that there is no fear of death that should be there, and that's the test for those on this path. Especially if your empathic skills are coming online and the Mandela effect is overwhelming you. There's this, you feel like reality's attacking you. But of course, if the spaces bind us all, and the consciousness of life is, we're a vessel, our body's a vessel to it, then really, all of the fear and the discomfort, it brings us back to shed through the illusion. Shout out to Ralph from Infinite Waters. One thing he once said was, and he's still doing YouTube videos. He said, every lesson is a blessing, and every blessing is a lesson, right? Because you can never truly have one without the other. Principle of polarity. So what am I getting at this? Space is everything. It binds all. As within, so without. Isolation from the majority, because of this path that we're on, it gives us the blessing to be by ourselves and recognize the silence. A great musician once told me growing up, trying to learn guitar, when I realized, oh man, it's all about the drums for me. A good musician knows that they are not making music, right? There's no manufacturing involved. They are harnessing sounds that are already out there through their instruments, tuning in the frequency and tone and vibration, embodying the instruments. And that's the thing about channeling, right? I'm sure I may have a few viewers that stumble upon this channel who understand and let go of rationale and try to resonate with the heart if they're listening to, say, a Pleiadian channel. Barbara's one, Cryon could be another. And there's always that thought in the back of the mind, like, wait a minute, they can't be channeling, blah, 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 blah. Right? But if you're just following your heart with it, sometimes it resonates, sometimes it doesn't. But that's what you have to do. You have to follow your intuition with everything you have, and take a grain of salt with everything you have, because we never fully know the answers to anything, right? Man, the instant that we believe that we know everything, we fall down on our ass and realize we don't know shit. But then all of a sudden, when we don't realize we don't know shit, we have the epiphany that we can actually really know everything. And that's the beauty of living 4D. Fourth dimension is time. And linearity is a conscious tool, right, for time. But we're so ego-based, especially in the Western world. If you ask someone who they are, they usually, subquoting Alan Watts, if you ask someone who they are, they usually define themselves by what they do, right? Beautiful spoken word poet on YouTube, Prince EA, right? There's a whole lot of human doings out there, but not a lot of human beings left. Empaths, light workers, Mandela affected individuals, you are the human beings. And the human doings are human beings too. But the great forgetting, we've become detached, just to reattach again, right? It's what the ascension cycle's about. And it's beautiful because awakening to this and connecting with the community online, the multidimensional self comes online. I have this giddy excitement that everything that I feared, right, every single generation, especially in America, has their doomsday, you know? I mean, truly, right, if we were worried about, you know, the Great Depression and the nukes taking us out, which, quoting Dolores Cannon, that's when the first wave of the light workers came into play, between the 40s and the 70s, right? I like to say I'm the second wave of light worker, not through the mind, but through the heart, with what I feel I resonate with, right? And the beautiful energy in the air that I'm sure a lot of empaths and light workers are picking up on is, for me, it's knowing that the crystal children, if you will, the third wave of light workers are here. And the path is being paved. And it feels to me the cabal, right, so the Illuminati, whatever force is, Anunnaki psychosis, whatever force is entrenching upon us, it doesn't matter, baby. We're really doing it. We're pioneers. The nanosecond's over, we're post-nanosecond. If you ever, you know, resonate with the Pleiadian channelers, the nanosecond started in 1987 and ended in 2012, and look what's happening. Yes, there's a lot more fear, there's a lot more chaos going on, and the media keeps putting more fear, 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 fear. Guess what? I think Eckhart Tolle, he's a popular author, New Earth, Power of the Now. That's what we're experiencing. The ego in the external form, being our socio-political international society that has obviously ran its course of monetary enslavement, that is sophisticated because people are convinced they're not slaves to the majority. It is barbaric by nature. That's running its course out because that's an external representation of the ego. And as Eckhart Tolle would put it, the ego's ultimate demise comes from that which fuels the ego in the first place. And it's called suffering. Suffering creates that negative that is overlapping. And when we avoid the negative, as the Borg from Star Trek would say, resistance is futile. Avoiding that negative creates more of it. You know, the difference between an authentic hippie and a non-authentic hippie. Man, stop talking about this negative stuff. We gotta be only in the positive frequency. No. And an outside viewer may think that this community that's happening of light workers and stuff is this, you know, wacky new age community. Well, in response to that, I'd like to subquote Terence McKenna. He said, you know, he doesn't like the terminology new age. It really doesn't make sense to use the terminology new age is thinking too linearly, right? Someone's upset and they want to see the gold at the end of the rainbow, and then they look up at the sky and they see the rainbow's a cycle. We're not in the new age. As Terence McKenna would put it, we're in the revival of the archaic. That's why if you're resonating with what I say, and you haven't, I'm sure most of you have, if you haven't heard of the 7 Hermetic Principles, alchemy, ancient Egypt, if you will, just look at those principles. That's a good representation of the revival of our archaic. And in this post-nanosecond era, with those who are Mandela affected and our empathic abilities coming back online,